The wind howled across the crystalline plains of XO24, carrying particles of glittering dust that sparkled in the light of the twin suns. Dr. Anna Reed adjusted her helmet's filters and checked her oxygen levels for the third time in the past hour. Old habits died hard, even after 6 months on this seemingly lifeless world. Through her reinforced visor, she watched as another cluster of crystal formations emerged from the purple soil, their structures defying conventional geology. They grew in perfect hexagonal patterns, but their internal structure pulsed with a faint blue light that shouldn't have been possible according to any known natural laws. Sample Site 247. She spoke into her suit's recorder. Crystal formation shows signs of internal luminescence, similar to previous samples, but with increased intensity. She pulled out her scanner, watching as numbers and readings flooded the small screen. Temperature holding steady at -40 degrees Celsius, despite direct exposure to both suns. The crystals had been her obsession since she'd first landed. The research base, Atlas Station, had been established purely to study these formations, but she was the only one who ventured this far from the base. The others preferred the safety of the laboratory, but Anna needed to see things with her own eyes. She knelt beside the formation, carefully extracting a small sample with her laser cutter. The crystal made a musical chime as it separated from its larger cluster, a sound that seemed to echo across the empty plains. Anna paused, feeling a strange sensation crawl up her spine. For a moment, she could have sworn she heard something respond to the crystal's song. Note for further investigation, she continued, trying to shake off the uneasy feeling. Crystals continue to demonstrate acoustic properties when disturbed, possible resonance with unknown environmental factors. As she stored the sample in her collection case, something caught her eye. About 50 meters ahead, partially hidden behind a larger crystal formation, she spotted what appeared to be a perfect arch carved into the rock face. Her heart rate quickened. In 6 months of exploration, she had never seen anything that suggested intelligent design. "This is unexpected," she whispered, approaching the arch carefully. Her boots crunched on the crystalline ground, each step creating tiny musical notes. Structure appears artificial in nature, approximately 3 meters in height, composed of unknown black material. She ran her scanner over the surface. No match in database for material composition. The arch seemed to absorb the light from both suns, creating a darkness that her suit's enhanced vision couldn't penetrate. Anna reached out, her gloved hand hovering just above the surface. The material seemed to ripple, like black water held in place by an invisible force. "Base, are you receiving this?" She called over her comlink. Static answered her. She checked her communication system. All systems showed green, but something was blocking her signal. A soft blue glow emanated from the crystal sample in her collection case, pulsing in rhythm with the larger formations around her. The musical notes grew louder, more complex, forming what almost sounded like words in a language she couldn't understand. "This definitely wasn't in the briefing," Anna muttered, backing away from the arch. Her scientific curiosity warred with her survival instincts. She had protocols for first contact scenarios, but they all assumed she would be able to communicate with the base. As she turned to head back to Atlas Station, she noticed something else. Her footprints in the crystal dust were being erased, not by the wind, but by something else. The surface was smoothing itself out, removing any trace of her presence. Hidden in the shadows of a distant crystal spire, a figure watched as Anna hurried away from the arch. Captain Jack Miller lowered his high-powered binoculars and made notes in his own recorder. "Subject continues to demonstrate remarkable intuition," he whispered. "She's getting close, too close. May need to intervene soon." The twin suns began their descent, casting long shadows across the crystal plains. As darkness fell, the crystal's blue glow intensified, and somewhere in the distance, that strange musical language continued its ancient song. The next morning, Anna couldn't shake the memory of the mysterious arch. She had spent the night reviewing her data. finding nothing in the station's databases that could explain what she'd seen. The other researchers at Atlas Station had dismissed her findings, suggesting she might have been affected by light distortion or atmospheric anomalies. "I know what I saw," she muttered, checking her equipment for the day's expedition. Her hands moved automatically through the safety protocols while her mind wandered back to the vanishing footprints and that haunting melody. The walk back to the site took longer than expected. The crystal formations seemed different somehow, as if they had shifted position overnight. Anna checked her navigation system repeatedly, but it insisted she was on the right path. Finally, she spotted the black arch in the distance. "That's impossible," she breathed. The arch had grown larger, now standing at least 5 meters tall. The black surface rippled more actively than before, like a membrane rather than solid matter. The crystal formations around it had arranged themselves in concentric circles, creating a pattern that was undeniably artificial. Anna activated her suit's recording systems and approached carefully. Time is 9:47 local. The structure has apparently undergone significant changes since yesterday's observation. The surrounding crystal formations show signs of deliberate arrangement. As she moved closer, her scanner began picking up energy readings that made no sense. The numbers kept climbing until the device simply displayed an error message. The crystals around her feet started humming, their blue glow intensifying with each step she took. "Base, are you receiving these readings?" Static answered her again. She was about to turn back when she noticed something half buried in the purple soil. A metallic object that definitely wasn't natural to this world. Kneeling down, Anna carefully brushed away the soil. Her hands trembled as she revealed what appeared to be a data tablet of some kind. Its surface was covered in flowing symbols that shifted and changed as she watched. This is evidence of intelligent life. An artifact." The tablet suddenly activated, projecting a holographic display into the air. 3-dimensional symbols danced before her eyes, accompanied by that same musical language she'd heard before. But this time, patterns began emerging in the sound. It wasn't random. It was a message. "Base, please respond. I need linguistic analysis on this transmission immediately." The static on her comm continued, but now it seemed to have a pattern of its own, matching the rhythm of the holographic display. The ground beneath her feet trembled. The crystal formations began to shift, their structures elongating and interweaving like living things. The black arch pulsed, its surface becoming more fluid, more inviting. Anna's scientific training screamed at her to retreat, but her curiosity pulled her forward. She reached out toward the flowing symbols, her fingers almost touching the holographic display. The tablet responded, its symbols moving faster, the musical language rising in pitch and complexity. The black arch seemed to be calling to her, promising answers to all her questions. From his hidden observation post, Jack watched the scene unfold with growing alarm. His orders were clear: observe only, never interfere. But Anna was walking into something she couldn't possibly understand. His hands tightened on his binoculars as he saw the crystal formations beginning to close around her like a trap. "Don't do it," he whispered. "Don't touch the..." Anna's fingers brushed the symbols. The hologram flared brilliantly, and the musical language became a deafening chorus. The crystal formations suddenly shot upward, forming a cage around her. The black arch surface reached out like liquid shadow, trying to pull her in. "Base. Emergency. I need..." Her transmission cut off mid-sentence as the crystal cage completed its formation around her. The tablet's hologram collapsed, and the musical language fell silent. Jack was already moving, his non-interference orders forgotten. But as he ran toward the site, he knew he might already be too late. The test had begun, whether they were ready or not. Jack Miller raced across the crystalline terrain, his boots creating discordant notes as they struck the resonating surface. 6 months of careful observation blown in an instant, but he couldn't stand by and watch Anna be taken by whatever ancient system had just activated. The crystal cage containing Anna pulsed with intense blue light. Through its translucent walls, he could see her trying to break free, her laser cutter making no impact on the seemingly delicate structure. The black arch had become a swirling vortex of darkness, slowly pulling the entire crystal formation toward it. "Hold on," he shouted, pulling out his experimental phase disruptor. The weapon was strictly for emergencies, and this definitely qualified. He took aim at the base of the crystal cage. Anna's head snapped up at the sound of his voice. Even through her helmet's visor, he could see the mix of shock and confusion on her face. He'd been so careful to stay hidden all these months, watching her methodical exploration of the planet, admiring her dedication while knowing he could never reveal himself. The phase disruptor hummed to life. "Cover your eyes," he warned, firing a burst of energy at the crystal structure. The beam struck the formation, creating a web of cracks that spread rapidly through the material. The musical tones turned to screeching discord as the cage began to shatter. "Who are you?" Anna demanded as she scrambled away from the collapsing structure. "How long have you been here?" "Captain Jack Miller, Special Operations Observer," he answered, keeping his weapon trained on the black arch. "And that's really not our biggest problem right now." The broken crystal fragments were already beginning to reform, flowing like liquid back into their original shape. The black arch's pull was getting stronger, the vortex reaching out with tendrils of darkness. "Observer, you've been watching me. Why?" Anna's scientific curiosity was apparently stronger than her sense of immediate danger. "Because we detected the energy signatures of this site 6 months before your expedition arrived," Jack explained, backing away from the reforming crystal structure. "We knew something was here, something that's been waiting for the right kind of visitor." The ground trembled beneath them. More crystal formations burst from the purple soil, creating a maze of glowing blue barriers between them and safety. The tablet Anna had found floated into the air, its symbols now burning red instead of their previous cool blue. "It's a test site," Jack continued, guiding them through the shifting crystal maze. "We've seen them before on other worlds. Ancient civilizations left them behind, waiting for species advanced enough to trigger them. And you didn't think to warn us." Anna's voice was sharp with accusation. "That's not how this works. The test has to be natural, uninfluenced, or at least it did until you activated something we've never seen before." Jack fired another burst from his disruptor, clearing a path through a wall of crystals that tried to block their escape. The musical language returned, but now it had a different quality, less melodic, more demanding. The tablet's holographic display showed what looked like a countdown, the alien symbols decreasing in some incomprehensible sequence. "What kind of test is this?" Anna asked, her scientific interest visibly warring with her survival instinct. "Usually, problem-solving, technology usage, basic intelligence markers." Jack checked his suit's readings as they ran. "But this is different. The energy signatures are off the charts, and I've never seen the site respond like this." They reached a relatively clear area, but crystalline walls were forming all around them, creating an ever-shrinking space. The black arch had somehow multiplied. Now there were 3 of them, each pulling with increasing force. "We need to work together," Jack said, watching as the tablet's countdown continued. "Whatever this test is, I don't think we're supposed to beat it alone." Anna nodded, her scanner already out and analyzing the new formations. "The crystals respond to harmonic frequencies, if we can match the resonance pattern." The musical language suddenly changed pitch, and all 3 arches pulsed in unison. The test was entering its next phase, and they had no choice but to face it together. The 3 black arches pulsed in perfect synchronization, their surfaces rippling like dark mercury. Anna's scanner whirred as it processed the complex energy patterns, while Jack kept his phase disruptor ready, though he doubted it would be much use against whatever was coming. "The resonance patterns are shifting," Anna reported, her voice steady despite their situation. "They're forming some kind of interlocking frequency." She held up her scanner, showing Jack the wave patterns that danced across the screen. "Look at the crystal formations. Jack pointed. The glowing blue structures were no longer trying to trap them. Instead, they were arranging themselves into what appeared to be a massive circuit board, with paths of energy flowing between the three arches. The floating tablet suddenly expanded its holographic display, filling the air around them with rotating symbols and diagrams. The musical language had become more complex, weaving multiple melodies together in an intricate pattern. "It's not just a test," Anna breathed, her eyes widening as she studied the display. "It's an interface. These patterns, they're like a universal language based on mathematical principles." Jack watched as she worked, admiring how quickly she'd moved from fear to fascination. "Can you decode it?" "Maybe, but—" She was cut off as the ground shifted beneath them. The purple soil began to part, revealing a platform that rose from depths unknown. Its surface was covered in the same flowing symbols as the tablet. "We're supposed to stand on it," Anna said with certainty. "The harmonic patterns are all pointing to this spot." Jack checked his suit's readings one last time. "This goes against every protocol I've been trained to follow." He smiled behind his visor. "But I guess I already broke those when I saved you." They stepped onto the platform together. Immediately, the musical language surged in volume and complexity. Energy began flowing from the crystal circuit board into the three arches, which now formed a perfect triangle around them. "The symbols," Anna said, pointing to the holographic display. "They're showing two distinct patterns that keep interweaving. I think it's representing us." The platform started to descend, carrying them below the surface. The crystal formations followed, continuing their circuit board pattern along the walls of the shaft. Each black arch descended with them, maintaining their triangular formation. "All these months watching you," Jack said as they descended deeper, "I kept thinking how much easier this would be if we could work together. Share our knowledge, instead of spying on me." Anna replied, but there was more amusement than anger in her voice. "How much did you learn?" "Enough to know you were getting closer to the truth than anyone expected. That's why I couldn't let the system take you. Whatever this test is, we need to face it with all our cards on the table." The platform came to a stop in a vast underground chamber. The crystal formations here were enormous, reaching up into darkness beyond their suit light's reach. The three arches took positions around the chamber's perimeter, their surfaces now completely still. The tablet's holographic display changed, showing what appeared to be a sequence of challenges or puzzles. Each one seemed to require two participants working in perfect synchronization. "Well," Anna said, studying the first puzzle, "you wanted us to work together. Looks like we don't have a choice now." The musical language had softened to a gentle hum, waiting for them to begin. The crystal circuit board pulsed with potential energy, ready to respond to their actions. "For what it's worth," Jack said, checking his equipment one last time, "I'm glad I broke protocol. Whatever this test is, I don't think either of us could pass it alone." Anna nodded, already focused on the puzzle before them. "Then let's show this ancient system what humans can do when they work together." The first challenge activated, and the test truly began. Above them, the crystal formations sang their ancient song, waiting to see if these two humans could achieve what no other species had managed before. The first puzzle manifested as beams of light between the crystal formations, creating a complex three-dimensional grid. The tablet's holographic display showed what appeared to be a sequence of energy patterns that needed to be replicated within the grid. "The patterns look like quantum entanglement states," Anna observed, her hands moving through the holographic display. "Each one needs to be matched perfectly, but there are too many points to maintain simultaneously." Jack studied the grid from his position on the other side. "Two minds, two sets of controls. That's why it needs both of us." He reached out to touch one of the light beams, and a portion of the grid responded to his movement. The musical language changed pitch as they worked, providing feedback on their progress. When they made a mistake, the notes became discordant. When they succeeded, the melody soared with harmonious tones. "There," Anna called out as they completed the first pattern. The crystal formations pulsed with approval, and the grid shifted to present a new challenge. The second puzzle was more complex, requiring them to manipulate not just light, but sound waves as well. The musical language split into two distinct melodies that had to be synchronized while maintaining the light patterns. "Your research on the crystal resonance," Jack said as they worked. "It's the key to this part. I watched you document the harmonic frequencies for months." Anna nodded, her fingers dancing through the sound waves. "And your military tech knowledge helps with the energy manipulation. We really do make a good team." As they progressed through each challenge, the ancient facility seemed to come more alive around them. The crystal formations grew more complex, their internal structures shifting and evolving. The three black arches began to pulse in rhythm with their successes. The fifth puzzle brought them to a halt. The grid had become a swirling vortex of energy patterns that seemed to defy physical laws. The tablet's display showed impossible geometries that made their eyes hurt to look at. "This can't be solved," Jack said after their third attempt. "These patterns violate basic physics." "No," Anna replied, studying the display intently. "They don't violate physics. They transcend it. Look at how the energy flows. It's not about following the rules. It's about understanding why the rules exist in the first place." Together, they began to see the deeper pattern. The puzzle wasn't testing their ability to manipulate energy. It was testing their ability to understand the fundamental nature of reality itself. As they worked, the musical language became more complex, weaving together melodies that seemed to describe the very fabric of space-time. The crystal formations responded to their growing understanding, their structures becoming more elaborate and beautiful. "We're not just solving puzzles," Anna realized as they completed the fifth challenge. "We're communicating with the system. Each solution is like a sentence in a conversation." The tablet's display shifted again, but this time it showed something different: images of other species attempting the same tests. Most had tried to solve the puzzles alone, failing to understand the need for cooperation. Others had worked together, but couldn't grasp the deeper meanings behind the challenges. "Look at the dates on these records," Jack pointed out. "This facility has been testing species for millions of years." The sixth puzzle appeared before them, but now they understood its true purpose. It wasn't just about solving problems. It was about demonstrating the ability to see beyond individual limitations, to combine different perspectives and knowledge into something greater. The crystal formations sang around them as they worked, their light pulsing with an almost organic rhythm. The black arches had begun to show images on their surfaces, glimpses of other worlds, other civilizations, other possibilities. "One more puzzle after this," Anna said as they neared completion of the sixth challenge. "Whatever happens next, we face it together," Jack finished. The musical language swelled in approval, and the crystal formations blazed with blue light as they prepared for the final test. Above ground, Atlas Station's sensors registered massive energy spikes from the test site, but by then, it was far too late for anyone to interfere with what had been set in motion eons ago. The final puzzle manifested differently from all the others. Instead of light grids or energy patterns, the crystal formations created a perfect replica of their solar system in miniature, with every planet and moon rendered in glowing detail. "It's beautiful," Anna whispered, watching as their tiny Earth rotated around its miniature sun. "But what are we supposed to do with it?" The tablet's display showed no instructions this time. The musical language had become subtle, almost questioning in its tone. The three black arches remained silent, their surfaces reflecting the stellar display. "Wait," Jack said, studying the model carefully. "Something's wrong with the orbits. Look at how the planets move." He pointed to subtle distortions in the planetary paths. Anna pulled out her scanner. "The gravitational patterns are off. Each planet's orbit is slightly unstable, growing worse over time." She looked at Jack with sudden understanding. "We have to fix it." Together, they began manipulating the model, using their combined knowledge of physics and astronomy. Jack's military training in spatial dynamics complemented Anna's deep understanding of celestial mechanics. If we adjust Mercury's orbit by just a fraction, Anna suggested, her hands moving through the holographic controls, it should create a cascading stabilization effect. But we'll need to account for the long-term gravitational interactions, Jack added, working on the outer planets. One wrong calculation, and the whole system falls apart in a few thousand years. The crystal formations responded to their work, shifting and realigning as they made each adjustment. The musical language became more complex, weaving together themes that seemed to represent the fundamental forces of nature. This isn't just about fixing orbits, Anna realized as they worked. It's about understanding how complex systems maintain stability, how different parts work together to create something greater than themselves. The black arches began to show images of other solar systems, some stable, others in various states of chaos. Each one represented a different approach to the same problem of cosmic harmony. Like how we had to work together, Jack said, making a final adjustment to Jupiter's orbit. Different skills, different perspectives, but working toward the same goal. The model suddenly expanded, showing not just their solar system but the entire galaxy. Countless stars and planets spun before them, each one part of an intricate cosmic dance. Look at the patterns, Anna pointed out. Every stable system we've created is being replicated across different star clusters. We're not just fixing one solar system, we're showing how to maintain stability on a galactic scale. The crystal formations surged with energy, their blue light becoming almost blinding. The musical language rose to a crescendo, and the tablet's display showed their solutions being applied to countless stellar systems. We did it, Jack breathed, watching as their work rippled across the galaxy model. We showed them we understand. But the test wasn't quite over. The black arches synchronized once more, their surfaces showing new images, scenes of different species working together, solving problems, building civilizations. Each image was accompanied by a specific harmonic pattern in the musical language. It's an invitation, Anna said, decoding the patterns. They want to know if we're ready to join something bigger than ourselves. The crystal formations began to pulse in a new rhythm, creating a message that both of them could somehow understand. It wasn't just about passing tests or solving puzzles. It was about proving that humanity could think beyond itself, could work together to maintain harmony not just in their own world, but in the cosmos itself. Should we accept? Jack asked, looking at the swirling images of cosmic civilization before them. Anna smiled behind her visor. We've come this far together. I say we take the next step. The musical language swelled with approval as they made their choice. The crystal formations began to reconfigure themselves one final time, preparing to reveal what lay beyond the test, beyond their current understanding of reality. Above them, the galaxy model continued to spin, now stable and harmonious, a testament to what humans could achieve when they combined their knowledge and worked as one. The crystal chamber transformed around them. The three black arches merged into a single massive portal, its surface now crystal clear like a window into another dimension. The musical language reached a level of complexity that made their previous challenges seem simple in comparison. It's ready to communicate directly now, Anna said, watching as the tablet's holographic display evolved into a more sophisticated interface. We proved ourselves worthy of real contact. The crystal formations began to arrange themselves into what looked like an enormous computational matrix, each structure linking to others in patterns that defied conventional geometry. In the center, a form began to take shape, a crystalline entity that pulsed with consciousness. We are the keepers, the entity communicated through harmonics that their suits translated into words. We have waited eons for a species that could understand. Jack and Anna stood before the entity, their earlier fears replaced by awe. You've been testing species all this time, Jack asked, looking for the right ones. We are the guardians of balance, the entity responded. Those who maintain the cosmic harmony. Many species can build, many can destroy. Few understand the importance of working together to maintain stability. The portal behind them showed images of countless civilizations. Some had achieved great technological advancement, but had fallen into chaos. Others had maintained perfect order, but lost their capacity for growth and innovation. Humans are different, Anna stated, understanding flowing through her. We can be chaotic and orderly at the same time. We can break rules while understanding why they exist. The entity pulsed with approval. Your species has potential we have not seen before. You understand that true advancement comes not from domination, but from cooperation. Not from perfect order, but from balanced chaos. The crystal matrix around them began to download information directly into their suit computers, knowledge of technologies and sciences far beyond human understanding, but presented in ways they could gradually comprehend and develop. This isn't just about Earth anymore, is it? Jack asked, beginning to grasp the scale of what was being offered. Your world stands at a crossroads, the entity explained. You have the capacity for great creation and terrible destruction. We offer you a chance to join the Keepers, to help maintain balance not just on your world, but throughout the galaxy. Anna stepped forward. But why us specifically? We're just two humans who happen to work well together. The entity's crystalline form shifted, showing moments from their trials. You demonstrated the key qualities: curiosity tempered with caution, individual excellence enhanced by cooperation, and the ability to see patterns within chaos. You are not just test subjects. You are proof that humanity is ready. The musical language suddenly shifted, becoming urgent. The portal showed images of Earth, revealing challenges and opportunities that awaited them. Their world was ready for the next step, but it needed guides who understood both the old and the new. We accept this responsibility, Anna said, looking at Jack for confirmation. He nodded, understanding that everything, his mission, her research, their meeting, had led to this moment. Then let us begin, the entity chimed, and the crystal chamber filled with light and knowledge. Hours later, as they emerged from the facility, they found Atlas Station in an uproar over the massive energy signatures their communion had generated. But they now had the knowledge to explain, to help humanity take its first steps into a larger universe. The crystal formations had rearranged themselves into a permanent installation, a bridge between human understanding and cosmic knowledge. The black arch remained as a reminder and a gateway, ready for those who would follow in their footsteps. Think they'll believe us? Jack asked, as they walked toward the waiting research team. Anna smiled, holding up the tablet that now contained the keys to humanity's future. They'll have to. We're not alone anymore, and we never really were. Above them, the twin suns of XO24 shone down on a landscape forever changed, while the musical language of the cosmos played its eternal symphony, now with humanity's melody woven into its endless song.